And I met Tookie's sister, actually, who would end up being one of the leaders of the four sections I call Mount Rushmore. These are the four. Tookie was leading the west side. Raymond Washington, who I was with, rest in peace, he was leading the east side. Mac Thomas, rest in peace, he was over in Watts, Lock area. Then Lil James Compton, who you'd see a lot, was running Compton. So those were the four.
Welcome back to the Invest in Yourself podcast. Today I'm joined by Melvin Farmer. Melvin shares his story about being a co-founding member of the Eight Tray Crips. In today's episode, Melvin talks about his relationship with a few of the co-founding members of the Crip gang, such as Tookie Williams and Raymond Washington. Melvin experienced a lot as a gangster firsthand, and he shares it all. Let his story be a lesson why you should not get into crime. Please subscribe to my channel for more interviews like this, and without further ado, let's get into Melvin's story. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Invest in Yourself podcast. Today I got Melvin Farmer on today. Melvin, how you doing today, man?
Man, just chilling like a villain out here in California, man. You know, but Kendrick Lamar, my nephew, say, not like us. But we not like them either. So let's have it popping. Thank you for having me here also.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking out the time to come on and share your life story. I always like to hear people's stories, and you have a unique one as well, man. You've been in and out of prison quite a few times, and you're free now. And I think your story is very unique because you were out. Your early start was with the Crips, and I mean, you were one of the original members of that first Crip set, I believe. Is that correct? In California?
Yeah, on the west side, it was four factions before you hear any of this 68 tray looters, not Mona Park or anything. It only was west side, east side, Watts, Compton. And you had sprinkles of Long Beach. As far as it went, uh, I met Tookie's sister, actually, who would end up being one of the leaders of the four sections I call Mount Rushmore. These are the four that are the equivalent of whatever four you want to put in rock and roll, hip hop, soul train, gang banging, and pop rock. And Tookie was leading the west side. That's over on the 110 side of the freeway. Raymond Washington, who I was with, rest in peace, he was leading the east side. Mac Thomas, rest in peace, he was over in Watts, Lock area. Then Lil James Compton, who you'd see a lot, was running Compton. So those were the four. I was a member, and when they started, or before they started on the west side with Tookie, because I met his sister Bridget in the 8th grade, and I was at St. Andrews Park. So I got to witness all the meetings when Tookie born in 53, I'm 57. So I was in the 8th grade, 13, 14. Tookie would have been 18 then. And then we have to remember he only lived to be less than 24. Then he was in prison. And Raymond Washington, too. Both of them, one killed by the state, executed, and the other one died in the streets. And that's how this game went from that day forward when I got involved in this and chose the corners over the courts, because I was also the number one basketball player at that time, too. So I made a pivot and made the wrong choices.
Well, what drew you to? What was the attraction over basketball to the gangs?
It's an attraction to those now. It wasn't no attraction. They've always had gangs. And they've been killing off Barry White way before Charleston White or any other white. So we hear these depictions. By the way, I was in We All in the Same Game with Michael Conception, the last man standing, outstanding man in hip hop. When we talked about that anyway. But what made me join gangs wasn't no peer pressure like now, wasn't no initiation. What was occurring was Tookie and them were older, getting into it with guys at what they would call record hops. Dollar to get in, teenagers. They go into Harvard Park, Darby Park, Hilton Hotel, and they'll get into it with the guys that when we go to play sports would be at that park. And they didn't care what your age was, you from St. Andrews Park, that's Tookie. So one time I got shot at on the court when I was 13. The worst game I ever had in my life where I'm telling my coach they'll shoot. They'll shoot. I was 14 because that's when the killing started in this game. That's in 71, 72, 15 to be exact. So I'm under 15. And we had Van Ayers Park. This when the Van Ayers boys just coming out. They're coming from Horace Mann, so I know every last one of them. In fact, I know who fired that shot that day, and I still talk to him, and he don't know that I know. So,
wow.
really, yeah. See, this is what we signed. I didn't sign up for that, but I had been a juvenile delinquent already, and these guys, Van Ayers Park, it's 3 areas of gangbang.
Mm-hmm.
Parks and recreation, the juvenile system, and the school system, Unified Schools District. Those are the breeding grounds for juveniles in America, as we see today. Same thing existed back then. So that was one incident, and sure enough, we used to have a green van there drive all the team in with St. Andrews and gold, and they shot at me and shot up the van. And then the coach would leave it. Coach Robinson, in fact, we was talking about it today with another guy, but he wasn't on. Then the next incident that happened is I'm playing baseball now. In fact, I can send you the paper that a guy brought up to me about being there and how later on in life I was a stand-up guy when they got ready to kill him in another incident, or at least touch him up. So anyway, me, Jeffrey Baycott, whose brother now is in jail for the Robert Ballou murder. That's the first time the Crips ever been heard on the news in L.A., period. That's the murder at the Palladium. That's his brother. That just had occurred. So sure enough, they knew me uh, and they knew him. And now these guys, 18 on up, they attack us, stood them down. In fact, we went back and lit them up at 14 in Justin Baycott Daddy's car. That was El Camino, Ranchero or something. And then I go to Inglewood, Darby Park, because they don't elevated me up in the game because of my talent to where I'm playing on glass backboards at Rogers Park when they just put it in. And it's me, Reggie Theus, he ended up going to the NBA. Darwin Cook, he ended up going to the NBA. My boy Russell Brown, he ended up being the number 7 all-time assist leader in college. Bill Cartwright, I played against them all. In fact, I'm a scout now for the NBA, WNBA, FIBA, and NIL. So that's I support sports. And so we'll be at the Drew League tomorrow, where they popping it off. And then now I'm in Inglewood where they chain gangs before the Inglewood Bloods. See, this before sets. West Side, East Side, Compton. So they chain gang in Inglewood, Jan Brewer, Wesley Logan, Lil Caesar, and one of them already had got killed, which was the mayor of Inglewood's brother, Mayor Butts. You see, with Snoop Nim for the Super Bowl, 50 Cent and all that. My friends killed his brother when we were 15. That's the next murder happened after the Ballou murder, which happened March 72. Now, Douglas Green, 16-year-old, got killed by Michael Conception, head of grand jury records, Kendrick Lamar, nephew. It's his nephew, TDE, Top Dog Entertainment. We all in the same gang, grand jury records. We started with Russell Simmons, but that'll get in later on. Then I'm getting into it behind that. because of the murder that happened. But the only reason they didn't kill me was because I tried to save the young man's life. I was 15 at that murder, 15 and 1 month. The other murder happened when I was 14. Then another murder happened the next night. Same crew. We had another party. And that's when it didn't no turning back. By the time we all were the juveniles. See, people tend to think it was Tookie, Raymond, and them. They didn't never lasted a day. They were adults. And when that murder happened at the Palladium, that backed everybody up. And that's when y'all fall back. And by the time I was 18, I had 40 arrests. Started off in youth authority at 14. Was in San Diego. Tookie and them were in fact the police. So at the end of the day, that's how I got involved in gangs. Not because I was forced into it, but I went at it. And then I loved the gang banging because camaraderie ship. Now I got a choice. I can go to these streets. I can take my ass to jail. I can tuck my tail in my house. I can't move out, so I'm stuck. And it is what it is. You match up and want to do it like that, that's what we're going to do. You don't hear us bragging OGs. And when I say OG, I don't mean original gangster. That shit done been watered down where they took that from us. In fact, everything you see is us. Now, they got 5 generations here in California, and ain't nobody going to ever catch that record because it started here. And it went from here, the people I'm talking about, and you'll notice all of them dead in jail. They didn't come in being rappers, actors, entertainers, athletes, monopolizing programs where we got one going now where it's real shit. So, when do we get our turn? We hear all these propagandas, I do this, I do that. I can tell that stories all day. And OG stood for Original Crip. That's all. 1971. I went to the well to get a sip when I was surrounded by gangster Crips. Although I'm barely alive to tell this tale because the gangster Crips gave me so much hell. CC don't stand for Compton Crip. It stands for Crazy Crip. I drink my Coke. I tell no joke. We kill them. You chill them in the mortuary seal. That's in 71, young man. You don't hear, no, 72, because I'm saying gangster Crip, not Eight Tray. It wasn't enough of us. We just now started. And we defended our community. We on the west side. We didn't have the gangs on the east side or anywhere else in America. We were integrating from the east side over to the west side, which was all right. You could see Tookie at one end of the park and them playing croquet at the other end. They didn't have a gym, they had a theater. They had swap meets. I mean, not swap meets. They had theaters, fish markets, go-karts, giant slides, miniature golf, the farm, the airport, all kind of things going. Hollywood, Capitol Records, everything going. It had been on the east side. So there was no gangs on the west side. They were cliques. And most of them, 90%, were juveniles from the junior high. That's where the breeding ground starts to get in this game. A gangbang. Not being a gang member, a gangbang. A gang member could be a lot of people that just say, I understand it, and they from that community, like we at St. Andrews Park, been protecting that park because we're targeted. The kids are targeted. The elderly have been killed through senseless gun violence. So we closest to the problem, young man. And all this verbal gymnastics and all that. Brother, in this, hold up. That's some of them calling in. So I say that not to glorify, I'm telling you how it is. They say, Melvin, you did this, you did that. But they don't say, Melvin, you wrote a book. Melvin, you've done civil rights. Melvin, you hung with some of the coldest actors, rappers, entertainers, athletes. I lived a remarkable life to still be here. Because I've seen one thing about this game, OG gonna always talk about that I have since I've been 15 is murder. Got 50 partners on death row over my life. And think in California, they've amended it with all the death row, all of them from the juveniles uh, that was partners with Tookie and so forth, and all that lost their life because a lot of suicides happens on death row all over. And so now they're getting less tough on crime as they think crime is, but it's going down. And a lot of the people in Los Angeles and just the state of California is moving in a different direction because it definitely won't be no verbal, visual revolution when you think the internet is going to dictate what's going on in the streets. That ain't happening.
When did so like as you were progressing in the gang, like when did the rivals and stuff start to come about?
Well, when we came, here go another difference in our era. We were uh, unified. We had unity. All for one, one for all. Crips don't die, we multiply. And as you see, we have. That's at 72. They cap off of that. So that was what occurred. And then well, let me take you to my first murder at 15 again, of Odie Gilchrist. Girl gave another guy a gun up at Sportsman Park, shot him and killed him. I was 15 and a half then. And I walked to Angela's funeral home and he got shot. But usually what happened in my era, it's very few. In fact, I never to this day have written RIP, rest in peace to somebody from that era where they got killed. Uh-uh. The repercussions were too strong to where it was real organized, and we were only getting 2 years for murder. There was no such thing as carjacking, no home invasion. I had this tattoo right here at 15. I didn't get a day. Now they get 20 years, 10 years gang enhancements for tattoo. So what we got away with, they got punished. They could never have 40 arrests. They could never do what we do where your mama come pick you up every time. That's when it was rehabilitation, then in 1975. Uh, and then we'll get right back to when how the killings was early, and you'll understand. In 1975, because our behavior, we had to speak at the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, which a law was enacted that affect every juvenile in this nation behind our behavior. And that is the juvenile fitness here, where you get tried as a juvenile for murder. They didn't have that. That's why they didn't do what the Crips and Bloods were doing ever. Before that, they were pro-black, Black Panthers, and so forth. Us organizations, the Watch Riots, all that. I witnessed that, didn't understand that. But when they got infiltrated and they started knocking each other off, and intelligence started getting on them, the alphabet, that left a void on the west side where we didn't have nothing to look up to because no older blacks over there. Then they killed my partner during the SLA's brother up at the Hollywood Bowl when Patty Hearst got kidnapped, and Johnny Cochran did that case, and they shot him through the heart, the police. We got down on them. In fact, the dude that got him shot, he got shot and paralyzed for making that happen. So these are stories where this is the type of life, and it gets way worse than that going into the drug era. Now we don't want to where it's death to the high roller. What do you think the jackers were doing? We robbing everything from ice cream trucks to armored trucks, pressuring you into paying for your own car when you're just starting to get your first job at Boyd's Market, taking your cards and telling you we're keeping it. That's how I got my first car. I had 40 arrests, 38 of them was robbery. And by the time it was over, I had did 32 years and for what? Nothing. So don't think there's something to brag about. And most people haven't never seen the original Crips or know our Get Down. Now back to when the internal from 72, when the killing started, to 79. Everybody was pretty much on the west side lined up. A chain of command, organization, structure. Then a murder happened between the next generation. Every 10 years, you're going to get a new crop. And it's the first generation up under us, and they got in the murder happened. In fact, it's big brother. And somebody's mother got killed in it. But then another incident, and in fact, that's at LA Gangs Unite when you see the Nipsey Hussle. I'm with Big U in the Snoop video, Bloods and Crip. That's us, the gangster Crips. Lil Sody, Monster Cody, and all the gangster Crips, and all those that have lost their life, rest in peace, or they can rest in pain. That's what the other flip side of this game is. You can rest in pain too. I've seen a lot of rest in pain. So until then, when that happened, then another shooting happened where the older ones got shot to where they went and really got at it. And then the mother and father, and I can speak on it now because if you want to see the story of this, go to Street Gangs, I think it is, with Alex Alonso and look up Joker. And he's been profiled on Nightline, NBC, just got released because he had murdered in the game. So he did about 40, 45, 79, 80, 20. He did about 45 years. He just got out maybe a year ago.
Wow.
This system here. And so that's when the divide happened. And I'm going to use the term like Hatfields and McCoys. Now, it ain't Crips because we all was unified then. Now they got where they all united. You got Crips, you got Bloods fighting each other. When it was all Crip. Where you from? West Side Crip. Where you from? East Side Crip. Where you from? Watts Crip. Grape Street. PJ. Where you from? Cop. CC Ryder. Crip. But it ended in Crip. If it didn't end with Crip, we automatically knew because this before colors. We on foot. We got to go to school. We gonna be close. So when we don't hear that, then you'll hear where you from? Oh, I'm Van Ayers boy. Oh, Black Peach Dog. Oh, Pyru. Oh, Bounty Hunt. Oh, Pueblo Bishop. Things of these natures. Oh, Karate Family. Oh, what was them? They didn't last that long. AC Deuces. And the biggest of them all was Brims. They were there before Crip. They were back in 69, 70. And they used to wear khakis with a brim. But there was no Crip there. That's when the external Crip on Crip started. And that's how that started. But before then, usually it's what you call an isolated incident to where, let's go to another murder, 1976, we on campus. In fact, I had to go on the run for this. My buddies say, cuz I'm sniffing glue and smoking PCP. And I'm sitting just like this and say, cuz this nigga left me at the party in Compton. Is that right? He said, I'm gonna kill him when I see him. See him walking. Got the girl with him. They have rolled 2 deep, 4 deep, 2 up front, 2 up back. And that back in them days, This in 75. Yeah, we had a continuation. In fact, this happened on campus while we talk. 75. We 18 now. So he was walking with this girl, and I say, I didn't even know he had a gun because we just had got there. He drinking old English, and he say, I'll say, bear in mind, I didn't know it. I feel sorry for this, and I say, man, there he is behind you. You say you're gonna kill him. You want me to call him over? You say call him over. I say, hollered out his name, and I did like that, and I can read her lips. Don't go. And he elbowed her away, and he about right at this gate I'm looking at, about 75 feet. And I say, here he come. And it all happened in about 10 seconds, all this shit. I'm just dialoguing slowly while I spit this shit. And he say, he turned his back, he here, he coming, and he turned his back and he say, tell me when he right behind. I say, turn around. I still didn't know he had a gun. He pulled the gun out, shot him 3 times over the chest, right over the heart. And I still thought it was a fake gun because he didn't know. So I'm steady sniffing the smoke. He right here, he here. And then he put the gun to his head and shot him right in the head, and his body flew about 50 feet backwards. And that's when the shit started. And he broke. So those are the type of personal incidents that happen. And it wasn't no repercussion. It is what it is. It was an isolated incident. But nowadays, a person have a personal problem, which I don't see why they would even be doing that over the internet, or why do you even need to have a problem? Period. Particularly against y'all. So that's game goofy and like I don't even entertain that. And we doing the work. We got this blessed to the peacemakers in LA where we was there with who was that? My boy, Do Wildin' Out. What's his name? Used to be married to Mariah Carey. Uh,
Shit.
uh, you know what I'm talking about. Nick Cannon.
Oh, okay. All right.
So Nick Cannon got an award, Snoop, a whole lot of influential players that are associated with rap. And it was given by the Honorable Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam's Tony Muhammad, the Western Region Minister, while we were previewing a movie that I produced with my partner. Got Ice-T as the front man, as the CO. In fact, you can go and look at it. It ain't been shown because we're showing it at festival. And the name of it is, guess what?
What?
Drop the Guns, World Epidemic, Senseless Gun Violence. This project was started in 2019 with me and my boy Ice-T's. Oh, who was that? Ice-T or Ice Cube? Ice Cube. No, Ice-T, because I was with Ice Cube. No brags, just facts. In Fresno. So you can Google that too. Everything I say, you Google. For that
Yeah.
matter, else I ain't speaking on. If it ain't Googleable, you don't speak on. Because it's public knowledge. That's how that
Mhm.
game goes. Tell a friend, tell a Negro. So uh I was with who was I with? Ice-T's old manager. And this is 25th year on whatever it is. I never watched it, CIS or whatever for Ice-T. And we got him and we was talking. Tell you a day in the life of me. We was talking because I just had got a Benz and I had just filming the most watched viewed segment on Who Killed Biggie Small Tupac. In fact, Keith D and everybody you see was in it. And Suge got 75,000. I got him from Critical Concept. And the same house I see later on in life down the road, where they raided him and took him to jail in Vegas. I got a picture where everybody they wanted me to get, but I told Marvin because they couldn't get him. Ice-T and Solid Dean O'Brien were the hosts. They had to go through us. and I was connected to Mars. So I called, tell my little son from Compton, hey man, find Keefe D, but tell him I'm offering 30. We keep all the change. So he tracked him down. I called Keefe and I text him, tell him I got Keefe D. They say, well, go ahead and take a picture of today's newspaper and send it. He go do it in that garage. You stand in the garage. It was summer, and they confirmed it like you're looking for Osama bin Laden or somebody. And then yeah, that's what it is. So that's how that was, man. So Ice-T manager, which is Big T, and they had been together a long time, and we enlisted him for that. So we've been talking about senseless gun violence, the depiction of what's shown on the internet, which I call black exploitation. That been there, done that in 1972 with and this show you how you can't be influenced. You make choices. In our era, our rock stars were Comeback Charleston Blue, Shaft, the Mac, same shit now. Drug dealing, violence, Horn, the best thing going. But we didn't emulate them. We didn't emulate them. Who gonna be selling dope at 55,000 a key at 15 years old? You ain't thinking about that. You got Soul Train coming out from Chicago, 71. So I'm with, they're getting them from our high school. All the girls you see, Jamita Joe Freeman, Lisa Cantler, Jamita Joe in the booth, in the end dancing in Crooklyn. Then they talk about J-Lo like she's a saint. Hell, I've seen Big Liz in Yo MTV. Fair Five Freddy. I was around, you can't even ask them shit like, since they want to be hip hop aficionados with this trash that's beyond. These hip hop artists, they're getting killed. People, youth's killed, and other people's lives are dangerous with things they don't actually perpetrate.
So they're just saying things that they're not doing, is what you're saying.
That's a perpetrator.
Yeah.
They're characters, not characters. A character is one that oftentimes exaggerates.
Right.
To go ahead.
I mean, yeah, that is a pretty big deal because I mean, once you got these kids listening to it, especially kids, they're gonna want to try and
Well,
copy
you
that.
got not only that, but you have these games where they shooting each other. They sit and play them all over where they get. I'd sit and watch them. And then they take that to the streets and they have no feelings when they doing the same thing. That's another problem.
Yeah.
Then you have the unfiltered podcasters, which is vastly different from a broadcast. I used to have radio shows. Because I'm an introvert. So you can always hear I or me.
Mm-hmm.
I hear everybody else bragging about what they're doing, but I don't hear them talking about what they're doing.
Right.
I wait. I won't. They say they want to smoke. I won't smoke because they ain't gonna match up. I've done numerous homicide cases, national. They got kids. You can Google these every time I say them. Margaret Laverne Mitchell, 1999, homeless lady shot over a shopping cart. No more different than when y'all brag, oh, that was foul because of Sonia Harris or whatever her name was. I don't care, George Floyd to Pink Floyd. Ain't nothing changed. So I sit back and I look and I observe them. Oh, that's a shame. But I know 5 girls that got killed, not by police, by a murderer. I ain't heard a word on national TV. But that's closest to me. See, people are 180. 90% of the people talking about that wasn't there. So you have a lot of hypocrisy, not democracy, on these podcasts. So I quit doing them 3 years ago and doing just as well as anybody on there because I'm free. I did 32 years in prison. Don't had 2 life sentences, one here, one in Georgia, got shot at by the police. That's why I caught the case there. And I'm still here.
Well, when you look back on everything, I mean, what are your thoughts on gangs? And I mean, really, is there a way to prevent people, or I mean, at-risk youth? I mean, what are your thoughts on all
Well,
that? I
it,
mean,
well, when it comes to addressing this problem, you got to have a plan, not a promise. Politicians give you all type of promises every campaign election year. You're gonna hear the same rhetoric. Uh, Gun violence. Let's talk about that. When a Republican talk about gun violence, it's gun control. When they talk, the Democrats, no. When they talk about it, the Republicans talk about gun laws. Democrats talk about gun laws because they playing ping pong with each other to where the Democrats cannot address black on black crime or any other crime in the community I'm from, which is known as Death Alley, arguably the most deadliest 3.8 miles area in America. Death Alley, Los Angeles. And you can't do that because you'll lose all your constituents that are committing crime in these marginalized communities all across America. Look at where all the crime at. It's controlled by Democrats. That's because of the corruption involved in politics. Donald Trump's a felon. Now, I'm a felon, but I can't carry a gun. I can't go 50 miles. He's a felon and can run for president. Make sense out of that. See, justice don't mean justice. It means just us with money. So when it comes to these youths, you have to address early, as I stated before, the juvenile justice system, parks and recreation, because they're controlled by gangs. Because the parents of today chase a dream by trying to get their child to be a rapper, actor, entertainer, or athlete. And by the time summer comes, they don't turn parks and recreations, which should be baseball. And that's why Major League Baseball is not diversified anymore with Americans, because blacks quit playing it because of lack of funding, chasing the dream. And most of them are poverty, on welfare. And now you get gentrification where I witnessed all my life here to where when they built the farm, they moved out all the undesirables. Then they built Crypto Arena where Kobe Bryant played. They moved out all the homeless. In fact, they locked them up. They didn't move them, they locked them. And in fact, Governor Newsom today just announced if you have any tents out, you're going to jail. So who fights for them? We do. Then you had SoFi Stadium, and I'm monitoring over the internet and street talk, telephone, tell a friend, tell a Negro. And the word is they're indicting all of the bloods out there around the stadium that they fit a bill. And I started monitoring it and noticing they wasn't getting state charges, they getting federal charges, indictments. So I know they cleanse it again. And they got rid of all the undesirables. They built the 105 freeway, made people that had been over there all their life. Either first time they offered them some money and they all refused. Elderly black people and Hispanics lined up and down that corridor. And then the second time they came, it was offer you either take it or we tearing it down. Don't forget, while we talking about tearing it down, we had the battle ram, drugs, during the drug era when they were tearing down our homes in the inner city. They didn't go tear them down in Beverly Hills when they were selling powder at $50,000 a key. But once the blacks and got a connection when the drug gang come out to where the youth could afford it, that's when they started making laws and criminalize it. I just got a friend that Trump let out after 32 years for 6 ounces up under the drug law back then, Freeway, Rick, Harry O, all these are guys I grew up with. It's no real drug dealer that you see on television that from LA or over Alpo, because we don't went into robbing. Me and my crew, we robbing like, why would we sell dope when we can rob you for the dope or rob you for the money? And if hopefully you bring both and we get both. That's what we started doing. And we had a crew with gold medallions because we robbing jewelry stores too. And we like that. We taking bags. We ain't chasing sacks. And the necklace would say, death to the high roller. That's what the necklace would say. In fact, I'll send you some pictures with it on. And at that time, I was about 500,000 strong. I had robbed some drug dealers for 40 keys of dope. Me and my partner, rest in peace, they found him shot 5 times in the head and burnt up in a car, unrecognizable. In fact, my mama still think that's what he got killed behind, but it wasn't. Some more shit. He got shot up 8 times. And another thing we did in Detroit. But I never was robbing for robbing. I was robbing to take care of my family. I ain't never been to jail for black on black. And I've been arrested 60 times now. I was getting money. My first robbery was a post office. My partners near, they wanted to go steal some, what was that? All of them ended up being bona fide Eight Trades. That was Sidewinder, Hunchy, Ex-Con, Baycott, Hot Dog, couple more. But all of them are real gangbangers. And all of them at the end of this story, later on in life, would be convicted of murder. Some of them multiple times.
Well, to wrap up on your story, Melvin, you got any final words or anything you want to say or leave the people with?
Now, just try to live a better life and go like I'm living by example, man. Life is very precious. Make your vote count and start fact checking some of the things that you hear, see, witness, because that's not really the depiction of my city, Los Angeles, where I'm from. It's nothing you can't do there. And we're just trying to give back to the community.
Yeah, well, thank you, Melvin. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story today.
All right, peace. Call me back. Keep it popping.
I hope you learned something from Melvin's story today. The main takeaway I want you to get from this story is to stay away from crime. You heard it from Melvin himself. Crime is a dead end and only leads to a few things: prison and death. Only a few make it out. Please comment any key takeaways that you got from this interview with Melvin. Hit the like button if you enjoyed today's podcast. Share this podcast with anyone that you think will enjoy this kind of content. Also, hit the notification button if you want to get notified when the next podcast drops. Hit subscribe if you want to continue to get more videos from me. Also, if you want to watch more podcasts from me, a playlist at the end of this video will pop up called the Invest in Yourself podcast. I got plenty of videos I've done in the past, and you can check them all out. Thank you again so much for watching, and of course, we'll see you on the next one.